Again, my name is David Becker. I work for QSI headquarters. My job is to work anything and everything digital learning. And I am really excited to talk about AI and EDU within education. It has been a very, very big topic lately. One of the reasons why it's been big is because somebody decided to write an article about something that has been around for quite a while, actually. AI is not something that is new, but it's newer to what people may have been able to do with it in the past. So we're going to go through and look at several things here that deal with the world of artificial intelligence. So and I apologize for if I cough. I apologize for that. A good way to look at AI is it's one of these tools. It's kind of like artificial intelligence is the new electricity. If we look back in history, there's been a lot of resistance to all different types of changes that have occurred, and a lot of times things were resisted because you liked the way things were. You liked the way things worked, and you were kind of scared of it. Think about the first time somebody said, just turn the switch on the wall, compared to light the candle. How does this energy come into my house? How is this thing working? People didn't truly understand. And even today, I don't understand when I turn the lights on, but I know they work and I do it. And it gives me the light I need to move through the darkness. We got to look at the same thing when we navigate this tool of AI. It is something that's been around us. It's around us all the time. You use it on a daily basis. You may not even realize you use it on a daily basis. But how do we navigate that to teach the ethical side of using this tool? How do we, especially when it comes to our students and their learning, how are we going to incorporate this in a way that I wouldn't say necessarily creates a lazy generations, but how does it create the more critical thinking? Like, how can we take it to the next level and not just, be like the some of these cartoons of the past, the Jetsons and so on, that you just sit back and do nothing. The computer does everything for me. So what is artificial intelligence? This is, it's a mimic of human intelligence, basically. It's a computer trying to do what we do. The difference between what we can do as a human and what the AI can do is the fact that the AI can take the same amount of information that's in our brain, but it can sort through it in a much more efficient and faster way than what we can do as humans. And so it's a great tool that helps move humankind further into that next phase of what our evolution is. It is it's actually a very incredible tool. So what is it and what is it not? Now, what it is on the left here is it's online, it's in shopping, in-store shopping. You've got robotic tractors, it's warehouse fulfillments. Amazon uses a lot of AI when they're in the big warehouses. They do. It's with your credit card fraud protections, bank frauds. It helps you to find different rates for insurance. Companies use this all the time. NASA uses it to help fill in different pieces of space photography they take. Google's got this really cool function now for text-to-speech that allows you to do real-time translations with two people. So both people can be foreign speaking two different languages. I could have French and Spanish people talk together, and a phone will automatically translate it in real time. It's all using AI. Helping us to if you use Waze, if you use the Waze app in your car when you're driving, Waze is all powered by AI. It's using which routes would be best. So it is around us all the time. This is the part that we've got to educate our kids about and educate a lot of people about is AI is not alive. It may try to act like it's alive, but it's not alive. It's not a real piece as it like you and me. It is not necessarily smarter than us because you may think, a lot of people say, well, it's smarter. It's not, because it's programmed by humans. It will only do really what humans have programmed it to do. And when the computer can program itself, it's still working off of a program that was still written by humans. So it's still limited to what it has access to. It's not Terminator. It's not only for smart people. It's not for anybody that just lives in the city. Anybody that around the world should have access to this. It's always physical. It is inside our computer software and phone apps. So it's not something that is just imaginary hanging out out there in cyberspace. It's just, floating around. It's actually a built-in program. The biggest thing about the AI is it's not going away. It will not. So an example of AI that you may not realize is you take your cell phone, for example. If I was to take my phone out and I was to try to take a picture, and I'm going to take a picture in the dark. The camera is, if you have the new Samsung, if you have the new iPhone, they're going to change it's going to brighten up the image. It's going to possibly, let's say it's the target's moving, it's going to stop that, you're not going to see a blur. All of that is being done by AI. You don't realize it's happening. You just click the camera button, took a picture. Oh, this looks great. It's the same thing when you're, if you've ever spoken to your phone, like if you do a text to speech, that's been around for a long time. It's AI. It's AI is listening to you and understanding what you're saying. It's also the same thing when you go to do translate. If you need to translate something from one language to the next, they all use the same thing. And I made the comment about the AI with the Waze app. Waze app is a great app that allows you to help get around traffic, all powered by AI. Education with AI is it's got some very exciting things that can happen in here. One of the first ones is personalized learning. Education with AI allows us as teachers, it would allow you even as a parent to help your child, help our students that are possibly struggling with concepts and so on. There's a lot of talk that comes from some different applications. There's one that's out there called Math Coach. It's by Microsoft. They also have Microsoft has a reading coach. These are all programs that will help with pronunciation. They help with understanding how that math problem works. It's all based on AI. Things about how we can differentiate. In the past, I may not have, as a teacher, been able to differentiate on the spot. I used to have to maybe do some more planning. Now I can type in something into, say, an AI chatbot, and it will give me an activity within seconds of something I could possibly try. Students not understanding how to, multiply fractions. I've done it this way. AI can spit it out saying, have you tried to do it this way? No, I never tried that before. So it's a great way to do differentiation. It can also help with handwriting conversion, text-to-speech, language translation. The one thing it's not going to do is replace teachers. It's not going to replace teachers. It's not going to replace, there are certain work jobs that may be replaced. And my slogan I've always said is, if a computer can do it for me, why not let the computer do it for me? We should be doing something that is more productive in our life. If it's a simple task that can be done by something else, that's how you move forward. It's not going to solve every problem. I personally, when I'm using AI, I get very frustrated with it because I'm the problem. I don't necessarily know if I'm writing in the correct information or so on. And you got to be aware that sometimes you can ask it a question, it will not know what it's doing. It'll even tell you. It's not something that, it's not one more thing that we have to add into schools. We don't have to. It's not another subject that we need to teach. It's a tool. It's just like the cell phone. It's just like the iPad. It's just like the computer that is in our students' hands. Now, as we're looking at this, the most important things that we need to understand is how can we be literate in this. So we have those things with literacy. So AI literacy is a collection of skills that a person needs to understand, things that they need to be able to use and critically evaluate the AI. So AI literacy ensures that we know how to use AI through different functions. It allows us to think about what are the limitations, what are the implications, what are the ethical considerations. We got to look at all those pieces. Those are the things that we have to teach our kids, because a lot of times they'll look at an assignment and say, oh my gosh, I have a 5-page paper due tomorrow. I haven't done any work. I'm just going to put this in ChatGPT, and then that's what I'm going to turn in. They're not looking at, they're not going through what are the implications of if I do this, which is interesting that we don't really bring that up when, as a parent, for example, I would never, I'm hungry, I don't have any money, my parents have all the money, so as a child, I'm going to walk through and I'm going to steal a candy bar from the store. Our kids aren't going to do that. We've had those conversations about right and wrong. You've done that, but when it comes to like things like using AI, it's kind of like, or even computers, period, any technology, it kind of slips out and is just there. But once we open up this AI literacy, is where kids can start to bring in the stuff of how can I personalize learning? How can I use apps appropriately, safely? How can I cite? There's nothing wrong with using AI. AI should be used, but it should be cited. And later on, I'll talk about 2 big programs in the world for education that promote the use of AI with the work. When we bring in things with computer science, there's a lot of stuff that comes from computer science into the idea with AI. We have, how can I use AI when I'm collecting data? Breaking down complex problems. A lot of that stuff is in your computer science world. It's in that, oh my gosh, I forgot the name of it. Okay, it'll come to me, I'll bring it back. The biggest tool that we see in the educational world is this generative AI. This is the one that's been the buzz. This is the one that has been in the news. This is the one that parents, teachers, and so on have been really concerned with, because it generates information. And the idea behind it is it's not necessarily generating, and this is the problem is that people have, is it original work or is it somebody else's work? Because when we put a prompt into one of these generative AIs, we need to look at, does it, is it going to repeat the same information if I put the same prompt, or is it creating something new every single time? And then where is this information coming from? There's a lot of different tools out there. For example, Bard doesn't exist anymore. This is from 2023. It's a Microsoft example here, so I didn't change any of their stuff on the slide. But we now have, instead of Bing Chat, we have Copilot. Instead of Bard, we have Gemini. ChatGPT is still around, but there's a lot of different chatbots out there. And the biggest thing that we need to be concerned with is, how do we teach our students, our children, to go through and use this in a responsible, ethical manner? How do we get them to prompt things in ways, and which ones are going to give us the most relevant information? I know, like in Copilot, it actually goes through and it gives you a list. It gives you a site. It cites the sources of where it found some of the answers that it provides for you. Now, here's some big questions to ask. So what if we did nothing? What if we don't talk about this topic? What if we decide to ban it? What if we just said, you know what, can't use it? Well, that's where we start out with things like this, where we will widen the digital divide. So let's say, as in QSI, we decided we're not even going to do what other people in the world are doing. We're going to cancel it. Well, what it's going to do is it's going to separate us between those that are using it to empower their learning with those that are just stuck in the past. And what we'll be doing is if we do not do anything, we are really putting a handicap on our students, that other students may already have this opportunity. It's not something we should rush into. It's not something, even as a parent, you should rush into to try to make sure they're using something. It's more of providing the guidance, the steps, knowing that this tool is there, knowing that they're going to use it, knowing that they probably already are using it. If we restrict it, then all we're doing is ensuring that we're leaving behind. The students are going to be left behind. They're not going to move forward. The old digital divide that we used to have in schools is not enough computers. The internet was not fast enough. We didn't have the learning tools. The training was not there for teachers to be able to use this and that. There wasn't the money to provide a certain program that we needed. There wasn't, those kind of things. The new divide that's happening now, which is what started out last year, that divide's getting smaller, is where it was the people that were already on the bandwagon of using AI and those that weren't. And so the ones that were using it are already way ahead of those that weren't, which is good to see that some of these programs, these big school programs have started to really, colleges and universities around the world at first wanted to stop it, and now they're like, you know what, we better move forward because it's there, it's not going away. I love this quote. I heard this at a conference, and it's a great thing to think about, and it's something that scares people sometimes. But AI is not going to take your job. So I always tell this to students. I tell this to teachers and others I work with. AI is not going to take your job. The person that learns to use AI will take your job. Now, just think about the people that are on the let's use car manufacturing as an example. A lot of people today do not work on a car manufacturing line. A lot of cars are put together by robots. So did the robot take the person's job that's just, say, putting a bumper on a car? Or is it the person that knows how to program that robot, that knows how to, fix the robot, that knows how to, repair it and so on? Those are the people that actually took your job, because the meaningless tasks that can be done by a computer, let them do it. Let's move forward in our thinking, in our ways of doing, to how can I be the person that actually takes care of those products? Like, be the person that's out there programming, the person that knows how to actually write the AI prompts in ways that allow the work to be done. So there are some risks and some opportunities that come with this. This is one thing that we hear a lot within the educational world. The first one is the risk is, how do we stop kids from cheating? Because when it comes to using tech, that's the question that we get all the time. How do we stop people from cheating? And the question is if the information is available, is that cheating? If I was to ask you as an adult, you don't know the answer to the question. If I said, for example, what is 5,680 times 55? You're going to pull your calculator out. 99% of people calculator, they will solve it right there. They'll tell you the answer. So did you cheat? Or do you just know how to use the tools that are available to you? And so that's where the opportunity comes in, is how can we use these tools to improve education? How do we move beyond the basic knowledge into the critical thinking aspect, the deeper learning, not just the surface learning? Another question is always asked is, will AI replace teachers? No. We all saw through 2020 through 2022 that a computer cannot replace a teacher. We all saw that. That's not going to happen. Putting it, like I'm doing right here, putting me behind a screen, it's not the same as being in person with somebody. It's just not the same. It can be done, but it's not going to replace the everyday human interaction. So the thing we have to look at there is, how can we rethink what we're doing with these tools in our classrooms? Here's a good example of how we can kind of really talk to, it's one of these, it's a very simple example, but it's a great way to talk to our kids here about why we should learn about certain things. Because, in the understanding, let's just use science as an example. Science, we want everyone to learn science. Our students take science all the way through secondary. Sometimes even me as a student, I was like, why? Why am I learning this? I don't really care about this topic and so on. But the reason why is because it's exposure. So the application to that is that most people will just apply the understanding, and they'll be able to do some basic stuff in their life, like, weather forecasting, or, maybe they understand why this plant is green and so on. I mean, just very basic things that may pop out in your everyday life, but not going too deep. But some kids will become scientists. It's the same thing with AI and technology. All students need to have access to this, because we got to teach them that safety. We got to teach them the positive choices. The application comes in with, most students will need to know this. They will need to know. They need to know, for example, the safety. How do I navigate and understand, like why, when I'm on Instagram or TikTok or Snapchat, why are certain things being shown to me? It's all about AI and understanding how AI is looking and trying to make an algorithm of who you are. And kids need to understand, how do I break that? How do I break those cycles of what we call the echo chamber of having the exact same information come to you? All of that is being powered by AI. Kids probably don't even know that that's happening to them, and it's been happening to them for a long time. The biggest thing on this, though, is that not everybody's going to be an AI developer. So we don't need to go very in depth with things. We just need to make sure that we expose kids to all types of information to well round you as a human being. Benefits and risks. It's always important to look at both sides of the case. It's great quote here. The one that knows, he who knows only his own side of the case knows little of that. And so it's good to know the benefit and the risk. And so when we're looking at the benefits and the risk related to using AI, we get things like, the benefit is personalized learning. The risk, though, turns into school is more than just content. A lot of times we want to just kids go to school because it's content. So it does make it harder sometimes on a teacher because you have to prepare more. You have to possibly open up doors that are not available, that may not have been available. Access to high quality education is a great benefit. The risk, though, is it's dependent on how your infrastructure is. So if you don't have the infrastructure set up, it's not going to be too well there. I'm going to go ahead and click through all these. Things that the biggest benefit, I like this one, is lifelong learning and upskilling. The risk on that is it's not traditionally recognized. A lot of times we don't recognize that you may not have learned this content, but you've learned a different skill, and so you know how to find the content. So it's, you can see that there's upsides on both. There is, oops, keep going. The risk, the biggest risk that comes from on the educational teacher side of it is where a lot of times we look at, people are gonna, we may lose jobs. Well, it can also help if there's not as many teachers there, which is, a huge thing across the world. I know in the US it's been a very big thing. The risk of access and inequality, that is a big deal. But it also provides a 24 access to personal tutors. It allows you to connect, just like we're connecting virtually here as we go through. So what are the two big organizations out there that we kind of rely on and look at when it comes to the university level? One is AP. This one is, advanced placement is a big proponent within all of our schools in QSI. It's also been, it's one of those big ones across North America. And what do they say about using things like generative AI? This is straight off of their website. It says that generative AI tools must be used ethically, responsibly, and intentionally to support student learning, not to bypass it. It says that students can use, this is my favorite part of this, can use generative AI tools as optional aids. It does not say anywhere in their policy that they are not allowed to use it. It doesn't say that it's mandatory. It's optional. It's not mandatory for you to use it. But they realize that there's a potential for this being used in classrooms and that it will help students improve their critical thinking skills. It will help them improve their writing skills. It helps them improve their research skills and so on. It's a huge proponent. The other big one out there, IB, the International Baccalaureate Program. Sorry. Same thing. It says, rather than shy away from artificial intelligence, the IB is excited by the opportunities that these tools bring to education to enhance learning experience and provide additional support to our students. So they are designed to encourage students to critically think, be creative, students in thought-provoking discussions, challenge them beyond the usual perspectives. So it is something that, it does hit into things like bias and so on, which is a huge topic that comes with the biggest one with AI. It's with anything with technology is you're going to find there is bias, there's going to be misrepresented information, and that's where that critical thinking, that's where we have to have the conversations of why, where do we see this? So as a parent, the biggest thing to do is just kind of to have conversations with your child about pointing it out, where this stuff is. If you allow your child on social media, you should have those conversations of why certain media is being shown to you, Why is this video popping up all the time compared to, even your own? So if you compare, for example, say your YouTube shorts to your child's YouTube shorts, they may be completely two different things. And all of that is based on the AI as it comes through. So a lot of information. There is a lot more out there, obviously, but hopefully this gives you a little more in depth of where the educational world is going, and how things like that we are doing through QVS, through QSI as a whole, how we are trying to provide the well-rounded education for our students, and that we want to give them every opportunity they can to succeed in the world that they're going to be living in one day on their own. So